Hey guys, LevelCap here, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Gaming. The next major update for Battlefield 5 drops next week. Full patch notes for the update aren't available just yet, but DICE employees have given us a look at some of the changes. Medic SMGs are getting a buff to accuracy and recoil. This should make them more effective at medium range. Some of the weaker SMGs may also get a damage buff, but nothing has been officially announced yet. Footstep audio when walking and sprinting will be louder. Crouching and crawling will still be quieter though to establish stealth options. The death cam will now also function in a way to properly indicate the enemy that killed you. The accuracy of hit detection indicators has been improved. Taking damage while vaulting over objects should be fixed. The Panzerfaust will now once again one-hit kill enemy aircraft. Ragdoll behavior has been cleaned up in certain situations, like when killed by explosions. Finally, bipod and stance recoil mechanics have been adjusted. The vertical recoil reduction when crouching or prone won't stack with the bipod's reduction. Vertical recoil reduction when crouched has been reduced from 30% to 25%. Prone vertical recoil reduction has also been reduced from 50 to 40%. And finally, a partial fix for the one-frame deaths is coming that should help smooth out the overall time to death experience. The full patch notes are 10 pages long, so clearly there's plenty of more in the works. This is also only the first of two major patches planned for January. The second patch should include improvements to bipod deployment on all objects. As for issues with the company coin system, a back-end update has been applied that should fix players not receiving company coin when completing a match. DICE are working on retroactively rewarding company coin to players that haven't gotten the right amount. They also gave us some insight on how much we should be earning per match. Every 1,000 points earned in match should roughly equal about 25 company coin. This value scales with your level and total score, so it's not a linear system, and DICE is looking at further adjusting the system, so values could change in the near future. Improvements to the end of round screen are also in the works that should make it more clear when and why you're earning company coin. Next week is going to be huge for update details on all fronts. We'll be getting full patch notes for next week's update and more info about the company coin situation. For a roundup of everything we know so far, be sure to check out my video from yesterday and stay tuned for more info next week. Bungie has ended their partnership with Activision. As part of the split, Bungie has retained full control over the Destiny franchise. It will remain available without interruption on all current platforms for the foreseeable future. Destiny 2 hasn't met Activision sales expectations, which might be a factor in releasing control of it to Bungie. Last year, Bungie struck a deal with the Chinese publisher NetEase to the tune of $100 million for an original IP. Moving forward, it sounds like the Destiny franchise will be Bungie's back burner as they develop new titles. Unfortunately for Activision, the split has caused their stock value to drop by over 7% since it was announced. It also leaves them without future competition for EA's upcoming looter shooter Anthem. Speaking of Anthem, a new trailer for the game released at CES 2019 confirming it will support NVIDIA's new AI anti-aliasing solution DLSS. It uses data pre-calculated by NVIDIA on a per-game basis to do anti-aliasing with a reduced load to the user's PC compared to comparable solutions like temporal anti-aliasing. Currently, only Final Fantasy 15 supports DLSS. Several titles like Battlefield 5, PUBG, and Hitman 2 have planned to support it in the future. Anthem's PC requirements have also been announced. The minimum and recommended system specs are decidedly mid-tier in terms of hardware, with the highest end recommended GPU being NVIDIA's RTX 2060. Probably the heftiest requirement is the 50 gigabytes of storage space for the game's installation. AMD and NVIDIA traded blows this week at CES 2019. NVIDIA announced a new entry in their RTX line, the RTX 2060. It offers comparable performance to the GTX 1070 Ti, but supports RTX features like ray tracing and DLSS. The new GPU's MSRP is $349, but good luck finding one for anywhere close to that price at launch. For the price and added RTX features, it's a decent GPU. For people that already have a GTX 1070 or 1080, it's probably not worth upgrading just yet. NVIDIA has also announced support for the AMD adaptive refresh rate sync technology called FreeSync. It's similar to NVIDIA's own G-Sync, which adapts the refresh rate of supported monitors to whatever the game is running at within a certain range. Unlike G-Sync, however, FreeSync doesn't require special hardware built into the monitor. It mainly uses the adaptive sync standard built into DisplayPort, but also supports HDMI and doesn't require any special hardware built into the monitor. The current list of FreeSync monitors officially supported by NVIDIA is pretty short, with only 12 making the cut. That said, pretty much any good FreeSync monitor that runs at 1440Hz should work fine with an NVIDIA GPU. A driver update on the 14th will add FreeSync support to NVIDIA users. As for AMD, they announced their new GPU, the Radeon 7 Vega 2, the world's first 7nm gaming GPU. It's priced at $699, launches early next month, and has 16 GB of HMB3 memory. According to AMD's marketing materials, it performs on par with the RTX 2080 and GTX 1080. Unlike NVIDIA's GPUs, AMD isn't offering hardware-based solutions for ray tracing. AMD's focus on features like that has generally been more to do in its software versus NVIDIA's more hardware-oriented approach. AMD has confirmed ray tracing will be supported with their future products. AMD also announced the next generation of their Ryzen CPUs based on the Zen 2 7nm modular chipset design. The CPU they showed off isn't officially branded, but it features 8 cores with room for a second die on the chip, meaning there will likely be a 16-core variant at some point. Performance-wise, it trades blows with Intel's latest i9-9900K CPU. One of the biggest selling points is the PCIe 4.0 support, which offers more lanes and bandwidth for motherboard components and discrete PCIe devices like GPUs and networking expansion cards. Existing AM4 motherboards are compatible with PCIe 4.0, but will require a BIOS update in order to enable it. Pricing wasn't detailed for the new CPU, but they'll be coming to the market sometime in Q2 of this year at the earliest. As for AMD's upcoming NAVI GPUs, they didn't officially announce anything, but they did confirm something will be rounding out their GPU offerings for 2019. The Vega series is their high-end GPU line. The NAVI is rumored to be a more mainstream-focused line with price points in the mid-200 range. Despite the rumored bargain price, they're expecting to perform on par with the RTX 2080, which is the same as the Vega 2 they just announced for $699. It's likely the NAVI will offer comparable gaming performance to high-end GPUs without the HMB2 memory that makes Vega 2 a killer for video editing and other GPU-focused tasks outside of gaming. Overall though, CES was relatively disappointing for gamers expecting affordable hardware options. The new GPUs announced, while sounding great on paper, still don't offer much of an upgrade from existing hardware. At the very least, it's good to know both AMD and NVIDIA are planning to provide a more extensive selection of budget-friendly options this year. Valve's ban hammer fell many foes this past holiday season, banning a record 600,000 Steam users in December alone. The total bans for November were only 100,000 players by comparison. The uptick in cheating was obviously caused by CSGO going free to play in December. That said, Valve's multi-pronged approach to anti-cheat, which utilizes the VAC automated anti-cheat system, trust factor algorithm, and community reporting systems, is clearly working quite well. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds also swung the ban hammer this week, dealing out permanent bans to another 12 professional players. The developer has banned 16 pros in total since December. The most recent 12 were caught using a radar hack that reveals the locations of other players and loot. Gearbox CEO and controversial figure of the game industry, Randy Pitchford, is being sued by a former lawyer at the company for allegedly giving himself a secret $12 million bonus. The suit alleges that PITCHFORD struck a deal with the publisher of Borderlands against the franchise's profits, money that would traditionally be paid out to employees as a bonus in the form of royalties. The lawyer was fired in December for supposedly failing to back a loan given to them by Gearbox and using the company credit card to finance personal expenses. He's currently being sued by Gearbox. PITCHFORD, Gearbox, and Sega were sued back in 2014 for using misleading marketing to sell Aliens Colonial Marines. As part of the lawsuit, Sega accused Gearbox of using money from their contract for Aliens to fund development of Borderlands 2. Sega temporarily canceled the game in 2008 when they discovered Gearbox collecting full payment for the game despite moving employees off the project. It's widely believed that Gearbox took the contract for the Aliens game specifically to fund the development of Borderlands 2 and Duke Nukem Forever. They eventually outsourced most of the Aliens development to outside studios with limited resources. Dirty Bomb's final update is packing a big surprise. It removes all aspects of the game's paid microtransaction system. All paid content will be unlocked just by playing. This includes a massive list of cosmetics, heroes, and more. The developers might be ending active support for the game, but this update is a nice gesture. It may do a lot to keep players invested in the game despite it no longer being officially supported. Servers will remain online throughout 2019. After that, developers will reevaluate keeping them online in the future. Red Dead Online has a new Battle Royale mode called Gun Rush. Unlike the existing Make It Count mode, Gun Rush is more action-oriented and features a larger player count of 32 players total. Where Make It Count was more of a survival mode, Gun Rush is more of a kill or be killed experience. Red Dead Online is still in beta, so it's likely we'll see significant changes to its modes and features over the next few months. Anti-griefing tweaks, daily challenges, dynamic events, competitive modes, and more are all in the works. In our final story this week, Epic's game store is attracting some high-profile exclusives. The latest such title, The Division 2, is skipping Steam in favor of Epic's more generous revenue split. Epic only takes 12% of sales as opposed to Steam's 30% and has a much smaller selection of games to choose from. It's pretty attractive for developers looking to maximize sales, but it's frustrating for players already managing a handful of game clients and marketplaces. Ubisoft will still offer The Division 2 on their own client, Uplay. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. Definitely a lot of hardware news this week because of CES going on, and next week I expect a lot of fun and exciting patch update information. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.